Hi, yesterday I made a video called something like My AI on the Edge, setting up Sunfounder OS image, and Keith left a comment saying, well, yes, what do we do with it now? So at the end of the video, my Pi 4 was running and it was connected to Wi-Fi, and it was all done by using Pi Imager. I hadn't had to go onto it at all. So before I went to bed, I SSH'd into it to shut it down properly, because that's always better than just turning off. So this is where we are now. So I'll just turn it on, and I'll go in via Putty. Some people prefer Kitty because it will keep your options and things. I couldn't get on with Kitty, so I'm using Putty. So I'm just going into it like that, if I can remember the address. Yep, there we go. Log in as Pi and my password. And it nags me because it's the default settings. Now, the reason why it will give you a warning saying, are you sure you want to connect this? You haven't connected it to it before, but I did last night when I shut it down, so that's why it didn't give me the warning. So what we want to do first is set up a couple of things. So if you go into sudo raspi config, and we go down to interface options. Now there's VNC, but there's also Raspberry Pi Connect. So if we do VNC first, would you like to enable it? Yes, I jolly well would. Right. So hopefully that ought to be enabled. So I will go out of there, and I'll leave that window active because I might have done something wrong. Right, so we go into Real VNC Viewer, which doesn't behave as it used to. I don't know whether it's because I forgot to say remember my password or something, but it isn't acting exactly right. It gives me that window. It never used to give me that window, and I don't know how to stop it doing that because it's annoying. Right, we'll log in, and then it goes back to that, you stupid thing. So I'll double click it again, and there we are. And if that is all you want to do on your system using VNC, well, that's kind of the end of, you could stop watching now. But if I go back to Putty, under interface options, you can see there's Raspberry Pi Connect. Let me go into that. Would you like to enable screen sharing over Raspberry Pi Connect? Yes or no? Would you like to do and then it will ask something else. Now, I made a video quite a long time ago, and it was called something like connecting to a Raspberry Pi device from anywhere, and things have changed a little since I made the video, but you might be interested in it or you might not. And the relevant bits really are from 23 to 35 minutes, and it's about if you're using a Pi Zero. But anyway, Raspberry Pi Connect is jolly good because it's like VNC, like using VNC and SSH only from anywhere in the world, which is pretty good. And there's a new version out that I haven't tried. You have to be running Trixie or later, and you can do over-the-air updating. But because we're doing Paul's classes, then he wants us to we have to be using bookworms, so that's by the by. I'll get rid of those. It's confusing having two windows. So would you like to enable screen sharing over Raspberry Pi Connect? I've never done this way before, because there are two ways of getting into Raspberry Pi Connect. So we'll go yes, that's good, and then we'll go down again. Do I want to enable I just said yes. Screen sharing is enabled. That's good. I go down again, and I go down again. Well, that's stupid. It keeps asking me the same question. It ought to be asking me something else. Right, well, I'm going out of there. Something doesn't. Oh, right, okay. So now it's asking if I want to enable remote shell access. Well, yes, I do. I don't know what went wrong there. Yeah, okay. Well, I've no idea if it did what it should have done. So, I'm getting out of there. I never want to see it again. But this is the other way of doing it. So this is via VNC. And if you look up here, it says updates were available, click to install. No, don't do that. Don't ever do that with your Sunfounder thing, because all your dependencies will go horrendously wrong. You have been warned. But next to it, you have this Raspberry Pi Connect, and you've got the options that I've just set. Allow screen sharing. Whoops. Allow shell access, and you can turn them back on again. But if I sign out, then we're back to where we were. No, this is how it would normally come up in the beginning. Right, so you turn on Raspberry Pi Connect, nothing happens because you need to sign in. And I don't want that. Don't want a keyring thingy. What's it? Right, sign in with your ID. If you don't have one, you can create one here. Okie dokie, I've got one. So I sign in with my ID. Create a new access token for Raspberry Pi. Oh, well, that's odd. I thought I might have done that before. Well, maybe not. Right, device sign-in successful. I can now close this window. Well, let's have a look. Right, so that's allowing screen sharing, which is like VNC, remote shell access, which is like SSH, and it appears to have worked. So what I would do next is I'm going to close VNC, because VNC is all set up nicely. I'm going to close Putty. Yes. Then I will go on to here and right. If you go on to connect, no. If you go on to connect.raspberrypi.com/sign-in, this is where you come in. And again, if you haven't created your ID, which you would have via VNC, then you can do it there. But otherwise, sign in Charlotte. Obviously, you don't sign in Charlotte. And here we go. We have all the devices. I've got Raspberry Pi 3, my 0, my 400, and my Raspberry Pi 4, and it says connect via, and I can go screen sharing, and it does this, and this will connect even if you're in Botswana. Never been to Botswana myself. Right, it started, and you can do various things. Look at bookshelf, look at everything, and so that is doing exactly what you would like, what you would be doing in VNC, but from a what's the word, not distant, well, something, another computer, not on your network. So that is just a little taster of what you can be doing with Raspberry Pi. And if you weren't using, where is it, Imager, if you weren't using a custom OS image, then you can actually use, I don't want that, get off, it always goes behind. You can use that Imager. To understand this, you need to have watched my previous video. You can use Imager 2.0.7 if you're using a standard setup. So you can go like Pi 5 and, oh yes, use Trixie like that, storage like that. Then the customization, I went into this in the previous thing. You put in your host name and where you are, and your keyboard and your username and your Wi-Fi credentials, and then this is where you can put in enable SSH, but this bit, that bit is not in Imager 1.9.6. This is new for 2.0.7 when you can enable Pi Connect, and I'm not going to do that because I don't actually want to create the SD card at all. But that's just showing the difference between using 1.9.6 version of Imager that I did in my previous video, and the fact that you can do Raspberry Pi Connect. It's well worth looking at. So that's about it.